Today I'm really excited. We get to catch up with Anela Pomaika Mattson. She is a 2020 graduate of the ACM program, and she currently works as the marketing content specialist at Honolulu Cookie Company. So that sounds really good, and it sounds like a really fun job. So I'm excited to hear what she has to share. Oh, I also want to shout out that she is a small business owner. She's really into graphic design, and she actually creates her own stickers and stationery. So hopefully we can get her to drop her tag if she has an account on Instagram in the comments. So give me 1 second to add Anela in with us. And if you're joining in tonight, let us know if you're a student, what year you're projected to graduate, and how your semester is going so far. I know we only just started the spring semester a couple of weeks ago, so I hope, everyone's still energized from their time. Might have some seniors online with us. Let us know how your capstone is going. Hey!
Hey, it worked.
Yeah. It always worked, right? Anela, no, I'm kidding.
When did it?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. For everyone watching, we always do like a practice, and sometimes the practice works, sometimes it doesn't. But I mean, we always sign in. We always get these interviews done. So our success rate is 100%, 10 out of 10. Yeah. I'm so glad you could join us today. And I love your Hi Hawaii in the background, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. So I gave a little bit of an intro about you, but, I usually like to start these. I like to go all the way back. Okay. I like to throw it all the way back because I really want to know, growing up, what did you want to be? What did you think you were going to be?
Growing up, I think from as far as I can remember, it was definitely like artist was on there because I drew since I was young. So I knew I always wanted to be an artist. But at one point I did want to be a chef and like do color.
Cool.
So that was obviously I went one direction rather than the other. But yeah, that was what I wanted to be, like maybe from middle school, elementary school.
That's so cool. Honestly, culinary is also creative, So it makes sense. That tracks. I also I'm a lot of the people that we've had on, former students, they all have like this interest in art and drawing. What was one of your like first drawings? What did you always draw when you were a kid growing up?
Yeah, it was probably my dolls.
Oh,
so I was
cute.
I was a big Bratz doll girl growing up. I didn't have too many Barbies, but I had a lot of Bratz. And like, the Bratz dolls, they have like big features, big hair, like their clothes are very like out there in my opinion. So I think like I drew a lot of them growing up. And then a lot of like just like fashion stuff. I love to draw like clothes and like hair and like just all the things, which I don't draw any of that now. But that was definitely like where I started. I think I just got attracted to all like those bold features, the boldness of Bratz, if anyone even remembers Bratz, but that's kind of where it started.
Girl, everybody remembers Bratz.
Actually,
yeah. I loved Bratz too growing up, and I get what you mean by that boldness, I think that's really fun to capture, and also like a girl's girl, drawing the things that we love.
Yeah.
Because you loved art, and drawing growing up, did you always know that you were going to go into a creative program? When you were entering college, what were you thinking about, going towards for a profession?
Actually, it was definitely, and I think a lot of people can relate to this. I always loved to do it, but I was scared that if I went into it professionally, I wouldn't love it anymore. So I like teetered with that from middle school. And then also I kind of grew up hearing the other side of the coin, which I'm sure many people heard too, where it's like, you're not going to be successful as an artist, the whole like nine of that. So I heard that as well. So I just kind of like kept it a little bit more closer to my heart in the sense of like, maybe I'll try other things in school. So I always had the passion, always had the interest, like always did it on the side. But it always carried on in school because even if I wasn't like heavily focused on it, I always had one art class. Like I always had like an elective or I did like clubs or things like that. So I was always still kind of involved in it. All throughout high school, I took like an art halfway in high school, but I actually got more focused on marketing, I think, my senior year of high school. Um, and then from that, I took that on to college, and I kind of went back and forth with majoring in creative media, but I actually didn't start as a creative media major when I started at UH West. I actually started as a business major in marketing. And then I added on creative media as my second major. So I double majored. I think it was my sophomore year or towards the end of my sophomore year, then I added it on as well. And then I just did both at the same time because I did have a really big passion for marketing and for the business side of things. So I definitely fell in love with it. But I did feel like something was missing, like my own passion. So I felt like if I would at least go to school for it at the same time, maybe like I could put two and two together somehow, which eventually it did occur that way. But yeah, that's kind of how it started, where I just kind of pushed it on the side and like just kept it like to myself. And then once I started to explore it more and like I felt like, okay, yeah, this is something I can do professionally and in the career field. And it's working out pretty great so far, I will say.
Well, I mean, I just want to say something that you mentioned earlier, to affirm. I think a lot of creatives, and artists feel that way, right? Like you can't actually make money with art or with your art. And it's like, it can be kind of discouraging, because you have to find that way because of course we want to, act on our passions. We want to love what we do, but at the same time we have to pay for things,
Right.
So I'm glad that you mentioned that. And it was actually really smart of you to join those two degrees together,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I was a double major. I did English, right? Because I was like, I want to, well, at first I was a teaching education major because I was like, I want to teach English. And I was like, I
Yeah.
was like, maybe not teaching. But then I was like, I love like books and literature and film, but I don't know like what to do with it, right? So, I mean, I think it was really smart for you to kind of pair that creative side of your brain, but also that more reasonable business side. I mean, shout out to all of our students that may be watching that may be thinking like, what can I do? If you can, I know double majors, it's a lot more work,
For
yeah.
sure.
So I'm glad that you kind of walked us through that, that journey and that decision making, because I feel like that'll really set us up for when we talk about your career. But let's stay in the ACM program for a little bit. What assignment are you most proud of from your time there?
Sorry, say that one more time.
What assignment are you most proud of that you did in the creative media program?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the one that I'm most proud of was, and forgive me, I don't remember
It's
class,
okay.
but it was one of Charlotte's
Mm.
classes. And I was partnered up, and we made basically like a. Charlotte's gonna just rip me right now.
No.
I don't even remember what it was, but it was a Jelly Belly, like a business kind of. So she's totally gonna roast me because I
No, no,
don't.
no, no, no. It's
But
okay.
it was a project where basically had to make like commercial style, like a very like short bit of like a product or something. So I chose um like the jelly beans, and then we made it into some sort of product. Anyways, so we did like photography, we did a video. I used like my family for the video, and
Ooh.
for me it was just like it was such a crazy experience because I think that was like my first time that I was really going out and like doing different things. So like I filmed my family, and then um I went like to the beaches. I went like to Turtle Bay to like shoot pictures like on the beach and things like that. Oh yeah, soda pop, she knows it. So then I'm actually my family is really close with, I don't know if anyone knows Billy V. I think a lot of people know
Mm-hmm.
Billy V. So he actually really close family friends with my family, and so I actually got him to do a voiceover for one of our like commercial like radio ad type of things. And then I just remember though I was in class and like we presented that, and I just remember watching everybody and everyone was like, I think that's Billy V, and I'm like, yeah.
So good.
Because I'm like, okay, like, this is for school, but like I'm pulling all my own resources. I'm like putting something together, which is what we do all the time anyways. But I think like that was definitely a big like start to finish process where like it came to execution and like it did really well and it got really good responses. And I always tell that story because I was like, I was really proud of that. But I think like overall too, the experience of like learning how to go out and do things that you don't normally do, like go all the way to Turtle Bay to take pictures. I could have gone to any beach, but I went to Turtle Bay. But it was yeah, it was a very like out of comfort zone experience, but very rewarding in the end too.
Yeah. Charlotte said everyone was jealous. I would be too. I mean, it sounds like you went above and beyond for that project, but also like really intentional, you know what you wanted and you did it on your own and you went out and got it. I mean, that's amazing. And that's a great example of something that you should be proud of. Charlotte, did she get an A? I hope she got an A. Let us know. Okay, good. I mean, I love hearing these kinds of stories, right? Because, I mean, I'm not testing you on if you remember what the class was, but it's really so that our students can hear, about the work that you've done and like potentially the work that they will do, right? If they're still doing similar assignments and the kind of effort that they have to put in. I wonder for you, what was one of the biggest challenges for you as you were going to college? And it doesn't have to be just in the ACM program, but, maybe, I don't know. Do you have one that comes to mind?
I'm, I guess one of my biggest challenges was to be intentional. In my back, I saw it freeze.
I'm so sorry. I know. No. I'm so sorry. That's me on my end. Okay, guys, to be honest, I have one of those time limit things on my app and I totally forgot to turn it
Oh,
off. So did I like close out of the window?
no. No, you like just paused and like froze for a little bit.
Oh, okay. Oh my God. So sorry, guys. Technical difficulties. That's what I get for trying to limit my social media time. And it's like, no, Kuu, not today. Not for this. Okay, start from the top. One of your biggest challenges.
Okay, so going back to what I said earlier, my biggest challenge I think was just merging my business passion with the creative media passion. I wanted to be super intentional. I mean, for one, like, yeah, it was a double major. It was like going to be a lot more work for me to do. But I was like constantly trying to find like, there's like obvious ties to the two. Like when you just talk to anybody, like, yeah, they like make sense together. But I think I was trying to find like my personal tie to it. Like, I really wanted to do both at the same time. And I think I kind of like, I guess like what I could say is with that challenge, that's why I worked even harder in like the ACM side because like I started with business, so I was pretty firm in it and I was pretty confident in all the things I was doing on the business side. But I think that's why I worked even harder on the ACM side because that was something that I think I had to find myself in. So I had a lot of growing to do because I guess like in the creative field, like you're all different. Like everyone is different from each other, even though you're all learning, similar things, similar classes, but you're always trying to find like what your, personal connection is to it. So I think like that was kind of the challenge I went through was, okay, if I have these two things that I'm doing right now, like what is my passion for both? What do I want to do? And I think like with all the different classes that ACM offers, then that's kind of like, it diversified like my perspective on being creative and like also pushed my limits and made me think like I could do more than I thought I could do just because I was like dipping my toes in the water and trying like so many different things. So yeah, I think my challenge is more of a personal challenge of like really trying to be like have the right intention with what I was going to school for because I really like push it even further after school's done because sometimes school's done and then you just don't know, you have imposter syndrome and you like don't know what you want to do. So I wanted to figure that out like while I was there and like go through the growing pains, go through the learning curve and just kind of be more with myself at least because once you're out of college you're not really with yourself anymore, you're with the adults and have to pay bills. So I'm glad I did it when I was in college.
Yeah. I mean, really inspiring. Two things I want to bring up. First, it kind of relates to what we said earlier about how you join those two and how much work it takes, right? Because it really is all about effort. And measuring effort is it's super different from like a business perspective than it is from like a creative perspective, right? Because how do you really measure like creative, like,
Right.
you know, what is art?
Yeah.
We're just going to go all the way back. You know what I mean? So it makes sense, you know, how you were kind of struggling with that. And I'm sure some of our students can relate. I mean, I know I can for sure. And then the second thing I wanted to bring up about your intention, right? And even though like I asked you about a challenge, right? And it was a personal challenge, it was like
Yeah.
challenging also, and it challenged you to be better. Any advice for our students who may be struggling with a similar thing about, you know, trying to find their way and overcoming imposter syndrome?
Um, for current students, I would definitely, my biggest piece of advice, at least what helped me, is explore everything that's uncomfortable. Like, definitely, whatever feels like either you're scared to do it or you feel like you're not good enough to do it, anything that I guess makes you doubt yourself, just do it. And then, because the really, like, you're gonna go through it, but that's what it is, you're gonna go through it. So when you come out at the end, you're gonna learn something. You're either gonna learn, okay, I don't want to do that again, but at least now I know because I did it. Or it could turn into something like, I never knew that that's something I'd want to do. And like, then you'll continue it and you'll get better and you'll get stronger. But either way, I think that also like contributes to like failing. Like, failing is a big part of like getting ahead and making progress within yourself. And but the only way to do that is to try and do all the things that you don't want to do. And I'm a firm believer of that because Charlotte made me do so many things that I didn't want to do because I'm super like introverted and like I don't like taking risks. I or like that's kind of how I was in college. I was very comfortable and quiet. Like I was like gonna go through school, not talk to anybody, and just graduate. But then like she definitely like pushed me out of my comfort zone like beyond anything that I could have imagined. And then that's like I feel like where I grew the most, where I like met so many great people and all the things. I feel like if you're a student right now and you're struggling with either who you are or what you want to do, just like anything, like even the smallest thing that you like, if it's just drawing, like post your drawing or like show people your drawing, like whatever like medium that is. It's like the littlest things is still progress. And like again, like what we talked about with measuring, like you can't measure yours compared to anybody else. You just have to do it and then you'll figure it out as you do it, which I think is a great thing to do. But
Yeah.
yeah, advice.
I mean, you're really encouraging people right now, Anela. I just want to quote you really quick. You might be going through it, but at least you'll go through it. Somebody patent that, put it on a shirt, put it on a sticker, Anela. No kidding.
Already.
That is so good. And so, I mean, that's so wise, you know, and such a good piece of advice for our students to kind of lean in, you know, to that discomfort and really growing through it. That's such a gem of an advice. Yeah. I want to talk and transition a little bit more to your career and also encourage anyone, if you have questions for Anela, please drop them in the Q&A option, or you can just put it in the comments. We're about 20 minutes in, so I want to make sure we get to them if you have them. And she is dropping knowledge. Okay. So if you want to ask her something in particular, just put it down there. Okay. But again, going back, transitioning to your career, what was it like post-graduation and how did you find the job that you have now?
Wow, great question. Post graduation was a journey. I will say that was definitely not something I had planned. So, being that I graduated spring 2020, during that semester, and everyone who was in my class, we were in senior capstone, half regular world and half not regular world. So,
Mm-hmm.
we were in it when COVID hit, everything just like happened, and we just had to go with the flow. So, that was like just going through that. I think at the end of your college career already makes you kind of question everything else because you kind of have like this idea of what you're going to do, like what you have lined up like when you graduate. But at that point you can't have anything lined up because nobody has anything lined up. So that was a very big thing that happened, I guess, after I graduated. So it's I think once I graduated, Thank God that I was a student assistant because I could stay on for a little. So I was working for Charlotte at the time, and then after I graduated, I stayed with her all the way through the summer as long as I possibly could. And during that time, like I was thankful that I still had a job and I could still work for her. So because I still had that, I was trying to explore what it was like, how things were changing, like really what opportunities were out there for me, which were like zero to none. It was just one of those times. So um, after I had left Charlotte, then there was really nothing out there that were entry level jobs. Like it was like definitely the struggle, like nothing. So I had applied for like a temp agency because I had to work. I had to work somewhere. So I applied for a temp agency who helped me get my first job out of college, which was for like an escrow company. So just like a receptionist, like office job, right? And I did that for, I think I did it for about 3 months. And I will say that was probably not one of my favorite jobs that I've ever had. But again, like that's just a part of the process. You got to do what you got to do for your situation. And yeah, so I did that for the time being. And it just made me so unhappy to the point where I left that job and I didn't have any plans. So I left that job, didn't have a job lined up after, nothing. But while I was there, I was definitely like still working on my small business. So I was working on my small business pretty much like since COVID happened because I had time. And so it was kind of more like a hypothetical and I wasn't like really thinking anything of it. But then after I had that job, then it was really like something I wanted to do. So I left my job at the time and then really like full forced into that small business and just put everything I had. I mean, it was like, it really became like my life depended on it kind of situation. So I started my small business back in 2020, I believe. And that was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, especially like after graduating college. And I think, again, it was an uncomfortable situation. So being put like in that place of like not knowing what's going to happen next really pushed me to take that risk. So I took the risk and went with it and it did really well. So I would say like having that small business was a good, I think, confidence booster for myself because I at least showed to myself that I could do it and that was something I was definitely afraid of before putting out there. So because I did it, I accomplished it and saw so much results from it. It felt really good. So I did my small business just by itself for about a year. And then again, situations had changed and I had to be more realistic. So I started applying for jobs again because jobs started to come up a lot more. And then I found the job where I'm at now. So now being at Honolulu Cookie Company for almost, I'm going into my third year here. That is also one of the best decisions I've ever made too. I remember at the time that I was applying for jobs, I applied for multiple jobs. So I had like all these interviews. So I went from like having no interviews and like not even an application to fill out to like now having all these applications, all these calls, all these interviews. So I remember with my particular job, it was between this one and another company that I had interviews like back to back. And I was definitely like going between the two. Um, and then it was like my very last interview where the other job had actually offered me the position before my current job did. So they had like decided and made the call to me and they were like, we want to offer you this position. And I was ready to take it, but I just had a gut feeling that I wanted the other job, even though I didn't hear back from them. They didn't offer me the job yet. I could have like well not have gotten this job that I'm in now, but I just had a feeling like I didn't want that job that was being offered to me, and I had a feeling that I could probably land the one that I was waiting for. So it was like everyone was telling me like that's a dumb decision. You just need a job because it's COVID time. Like just take the job that is offered to you. But I just knew like if I took that other job, like I wouldn't have been like that happy. I didn't have that feeling. So I said no to that offer. And then I think I waited like a few more weeks. Like those were definitely some agonizing weeks, but I was like very like I was firm believing that something was gonna come, and which it did. So that job that I did want, which is Honolulu Cookie Company, they did call me back and offered me the position, and like the rest is history. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So kind of like connecting the two, because that's like a lot. And for people who know me, I'm always doing a lot and I'm trying not to, but it's just, but so my small business, it took a pause for a little bit because that was my first like 9 to 5, like big girl job. So I was totally adjusting. And then again, like I kind of, it became like my small business, and then it became my side business, and then kind of paused it. So kind of the beauty of like having your own business, because you can do what you can with it. You know, I was trying to like really put things out, but it just wasn't working. So the pause was really good for me, and the break was really good for me to get adjusted to my position now. But I still have both. I have my full-time job, and I still have my small business, and yeah, they're both working as best as they can right now.
Yeah. I mean, the whole sense that I'm getting from you is you're really a go-getter, going all the way back and knowing, 2020, no jobs. Where are the jobs? So, I mean, that's great for you that you were able to have that kind of like self-direction and like self-motivation to do that. Because I know that even for a lot of creatives, right? Like people are always like, oh, you should go into business for yourself, but it's a lot of work. It's not like you can just start something. I have a couple of questions in here that people have sent in, and I'm going to work them in along with the other questions that I have here. But someone said, any tips for creating a portfolio? Did you
Um,
have one when you were exiting college?
yes, I did have a portfolio, and all of my portfolio was basically school, so school projects and everything. So I feel like when creating your portfolio, that is probably the one time to not have imposter syndrome, because that is like what is going to sell you to whoever is looking at it. So I feel like when you're making your portfolio, put things that you are truly proud of in there, and something that you feel like you can just talk about with anybody, whether you know them or not. It's your passion projects in a book. That's really what it is. Yes, you're trying to get a job, but try to separate that part of it, because that adds a lot of pressure to it, which is like just it's going to come no matter what. But I feel like if you separate it and you just make this into like your personal journal of the things you really really like, you might have an easier time putting something together. And then you can say it to a job that you're applying for, or whatever it may be. Kind of takes that edge off of it, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great tip, right?
Mhm.
Choose things that you are excited and enjoy talking about because, I mean, yes, it'll bring a lot of pressure if you think, oh my gosh, this is for jobs, all these people are going to see it. But at the same time, like you should put things that you love to talk about because they'll probably bring it up in the interview, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So that's a hot tip. I wanted to ask you, circling back to, going into your own, like creating your own business, any advice for our students who are thinking like, hey, I do want to start publishing my art? Maybe, I mean, I'm sure that you have a million tips because of your business degree like that. And I'm not asking you to summarize a business degree in this little talk, but if you could just give the most essential tip, for opening your own business, staying creative, having a creative business of your own.
um as a creative opening a business, I will say the business part is the more important part, because creating for us is so second
Mm.
nature. It's what gets us to that place of wanting to start a business. So I feel like that's not the hard part. And sometimes we can lose ourselves and spend way too much time on what we're creating, but there's back ends that you kind of have to take care of to actually get it off the ground. And I would just say that. I would say, for example, if you want to like sell your art online, I would focus more research not on what you're making, but like where it's going to go. So for example, if you want to put yourself on Etsy, then search Etsy and search like Etsy demographics and how Etsy as a business work. I feel like more time into that background of things will help you creatively in the end. But I think that's where more of your time should be dedicated towards, and you'll get a better understanding of like how to really see like progress from a business of what you're creating.
Yeah, yeah. Really tuning into that business acumen because you're right. We can create, we can come up with all kinds of things, but really knowing your audience, really knowing the perfect, like not perfect, but the potential platforms and channels. I mean, that does take a lot of extra work. And maybe this is just a plug to go get a double major, to just double major in business. I don't know. We better get a shout out from that school. No kidding. I mean, I'm glad that you're giving these tips, because you have a lot of insight, getting into your own job. Let's talk more about that. What do you do now in your current role? What does your day to day look like?
Yeah, so currently at Honolulu Cookie Company. So the title marketing content specialist is what it sounds like. It's a lot of hats. It's a lot of things. It's all the things.
Mm.
Uh, how I explain it to everyone who asks me in short is anything where there's a picture of the cookie on it, that's what I do. So it's anything related to that. So I do photography still. So I take pictures of the cookies, whether it's like for our social media channels. I take a lot of pictures for social media and digital platforms. And then when we have like larger releases, like seasonal launches and stuff, where we print larger signages for like our retail stores, that we bring an out of house photographer in to take those pictures just because he has the equipment for it. But I still have hands on it because I still have to like kind of concept and stylize it. So still a lot of planning that I have to do for basically any kind of visual output, any kind of deliverable, digital print, traditional, non-traditional. I kind of came in during that COVID time too, where the company was their retail stores weren't the we're still in COVID restrictions, so we weren't treating it like regular retail stores, and then so there weren't that much signages in there, or kind of cutting back in certain places. And then coming out of COVID, then a lot more pictures, a lot more photography, a lot more kind of more design and more visual output there. So that's kind of what I do. Most of my days is like I'll be taking a bunch of pictures one day, and then the next day I'll be putting it all into whatever deliverable it has to be in, whether it's like an ad or a print signage or social media, Instagram, whatever that is. That'll be another day. And then if we have an upcoming launch, then I'll be like concepting for it. What do these pictures look like? What is the storytelling? That's kind of something I always do as well on the side. But yeah, anything you see a pineapple cookie on, I probably did something related to it.
That's so good. I mean, thank you for walking us through your day to day, because you're right. And I wonder if students know this, right? Especially when you're starting out, entry level, those specialists, you kind of have to have multiple talents. And that's why ACM is so great in that it kind of shows you all those multiple talents.
Yeah.
And then you can specialize as grow in your career or, along the way, whatever. So I'm glad that you talked about that. And I wonder if for you, if there's any project that you've worked on that you're super excited about?
Okay, well, currently we have a really big project that has come out and we're in the process of it now. So what I'm super, super happy about is so with my company, Honolulu Cookie Company, the owners of that company are very involved in education and arts in the local community. So all of like Oahu and Hawaii, they always give back in some way. So with that education background, I wanted to kind of bring that back to my roots and like bring that opportunity to where I came from. So we kind of stirred the pot a little bit and we came up with basically like a campaign to bring to UH West from my company, which was a packaging design contest to get students to submit designs for a product that we were creating. So basically what this was with UH West, with the ACM program there, with my company. And then we have another connection within our company internally who is connected with Carissa Moore. And Carissa Moore is very close with our company as well. So she has a nonprofit called More Aloha. And so with all of her missions and everything that she does with surfing, it just kind of aligned with everything we wanted to do with education. So we pulled her in as well. And we have an existing surfboard product, so we kind of threw that at her and was like, okay, like what if we like use this surfboard product that we already have, and then we get like a student to come in and design it, and then the design itself would be focused more around like Carissa's nonprofit, so around More Aloha, and then kind of everything we push when the product does come out will be for her nonprofit, and that will be kind of the messaging there. So that's kind of the basis of like where it started, and then so I really pulled it and kind of was talking to Charla and meeting with her a lot, and like I really wanted to get it going. So with all the quick turnarounds, we finally got it at the end of last year, where we pushed out the contest, and a bunch of students, which we are so incredibly proud of. Like I saw all the submissions and they're great, they're amazing. Like I just had so much nostalgia like looking at those designs too. But it was a really great turnout, and I was like really excited to see everything. So we got all of those, and then like internally we got to look through the submissions. Carissa got to look through the submissions. We got to really kind of just talk story and come down to like who the winner was. So we did choose the winner of that contest at the ending of last year, and then we're actually going to present the award to her tomorrow. So I'll be heading tomorrow with some of my coworkers from my company. We're going to present the award to her, which we're so excited about. And yeah, it was just like such a great process to kind of push out. And then we'll also be working with the student who did win throughout the year, because the product itself in our plans does come out the fall of this year, but we're gonna kind of hold on to her for a little bit and kind of show her some like application process. So bring her in and show her what it looks like, you know, from our packaging designer at our company, what that looks like with, you know, from a student's perspective, they'll really see what it's like, you know, in the actual job, and you know, and how it looks on site. So that's really exciting too. We're going to pull her in so she can shadow and see what that looks like, and she can ask all her questions too. But yeah, that's kind of the big project that's happening right
That
now.
is such an exciting project, and I'm so glad that you picked up on my
Yeah,
segue.
I
Because I want you to talk about it, because one, Anela, great on you. I'm so grateful for you and thankful for you for offering opportunities to our students, you know? Like number one, giving back to, you know, the program that we came out of and all the potential that they have. Like I'm just so I'm just in awe of you, you know? And two, I mean, what a great way to show our students how you can be, you know, creative in art, but also creative in campaign, creative in that business mindset, right? Because I mean, to come up with this campaign and to really walk through every step, even to the point where you're bringing in our, you know, our winner at the end process so she can actually see. I mean, so thoughtful, so intentional. I want to do something similar. I have nothing, but you know, but I want, like, I just love that, you know, what a great example of an alumni giving back. And I mean, I'm so excited for the ceremony tomorrow. I wanted to ask you, what is something that, you know, came up, not just in this project, you know, but just in your career? Oh, look, Charlotte, you got to buy the cookies. I will, now that I know about this, you know, it adds such a great story. So I will be buying them. Yes. Tell everybody else that's watching. I mean, to go back to my question, you know, not just within this project, but just in your career, you know, being a small business owner, starting, you know, at this new job kind of towards the end of the pandemic, and all of the experiences that you gain now in this position, what's something that you learned about yourself?
um uh, I want to say I can't do it all, but I kind of did. So you can do it all is the actual answer, because that was like imposter syndrome coming out first. So you'll think that you can't do it, and like for me, like I was always busy. I was always trying to do so many different things, but I think my biggest one was that do everything you want to do and know that you can do it. If you just work hard and really put your heart and everything you have into it, you're going to succeed in however that looks like. And I think that's was such a confidence booster for me to know that, like, again, I went through it, I came out the other end, this is what now I'm with, and the lessons that I've learned, and it's super valuable. And I'm kind of like really grateful that I'm at least able to learn this with how young I am now, because I would want to at least have this mindset, you know, going forward, you know, when other challenges come up. But yeah, you can do anything you put your mind to, as long as you're passionate about it, you believe in what you do, and just know that with hard work, you're going to see success in some way.
I wish we could just end it there. Like, what a great way to just like mic drop. We're done now. See you later. I'm so appreciative of your energy too, because it is giving that really empowering. And I think you're right. A lot of the times there's a lot of pressures and there's a lot of things, and people are going through different things that we don't know about. But having that, self-determination, having that confidence in yourself, yeah, it takes some time, but I'm just really loving the way that you're sharing that, and encouraging our students. I want to plug, if anyone has any questions or anything they want to share, let us know, because we are coming up to the hour. So I want to make sure we get to them. I want to read this comment because I think it's sweet. One thing that I find very admirable would be the connections you make throughout your journey. Are there any tips you can give to opening up or to open up? Sorry.
Like to open up yourself, maybe.
Maybe that's what she means. This is from Lita, and she's a creative media major. Oh, to open up the doors for everyone that doesn't know how to start. Okay.
Okay. Any tips for opening the doors for someone who doesn't know how to start?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We kind of said portfolio.
Yeah.
Make sure you got your portfolio.
Yeah. If you want to go even before that, like you don't even know how to get to the portfolio, I would say just create things. Just create things that you love and that you really like to do. It doesn't have to be for a grade. It doesn't have to be for a class. It can just be like something you like to do in the mornings or at night before you go to sleep. I think the more you do it, again, you're getting the reps in, so you're getting better either way because you're going to get consistent and continue to do it. But I think my biggest thing that I always went back on, whether I was unsure of myself or unsure of what someone else was going to think about me or what I do, was I just had to make sure that I believed in what I do. And I was very passionate at what I do, because whatever I make, I can sell it to everyone or I can keep it to myself. But you kind of have to know, again, like if you really believe in it, you're going to want to share it with other people. And you'll be able to do that more easily once you come to terms that that's something that you're passionate about and that you believe in, and just all the things. I see Charlotte saying to volunteer. Yes, you can volunteer. I definitely would just suggest like not, I guess, closing yourself off in the sense of like not sharing with others. So definitely like share with your family, share with your friends, if you don't want to share with them, share with people you don't know anonymously. I mean, just anything that kind of furthers yourself out there, because I think that's like the only way to kind of move forward.
You did a lot.
What did I do? A lot of
Did you volunteer a lot? Like volunteer your services or your skills?
I definitely.
Maybe she means you did a lot like at school, like you were doing the most. And with Billy V, I can see that. No kidding.
Yeah. Like if it comes back to like my experiences, okay, yes, I worked on campus not just because I needed a job. I worked on campus because I wanted to get ahead. I wanted to, be in the field of what I wanted to do and like be close to like my programs. So yeah, I can see that.
Now she said, "Let me list all the things."
I know. So yes, I was a part of the student media board. I did an early college program over the summer where we did our early college kids, where again, that was another opportunity for me to get involved with other people and kind of mentor, kind of like just see different versions of people in the creative field and like what they're going through. And yeah, but going back to like my student job, so before I worked for Charlotte, I actually worked for the communications department, which is where I actually learned a lot of like my photography background. I did a lot of like photography there, and then did probably I can't remember how long, but I was there for a while where I did learn a lot of things in relation to like campus and like UH life, and then moved over to Charlotte and did more like ACM focused stuff. So kind of got like two experiences, like kind of broader, like where I was going to school, and then like more focused, like what was my program and like what I was doing. So I guess that kind of goes to my point of like following what you do and what you want to do, because I knew like something was gonna catch somewhere. So I was just kind of following like, the people that I liked and the people who supported me. And, even though I wasn't sure what the job was going to be, like I knew I had at least kind of a support group there that could really like help me and mentor me. And that I think that's another great thing too about like really involving yourself with other people, because you're not going to know who's out there until you get out there, and you'll actually meet some really good people who might end up being your mentors in the end. Like you never know if they'll stick with you for such a long time after, and they'll support you in anything you do. So yeah, kind of going back to like putting yourself out there to network, putting yourself out there to be passionate and do what you love. Those things can definitely like open doors for you and kind of push you into maybe more places that you feel comfortable in.
Yeah. I mean, I like what you're saying because it kind of connects to what you were saying at the top about leaning into that discomfort, you know? Like, I know it's really hard sometimes to really go out there and put yourself out there and talk about your work, like we said throughout this whole session, kind of that imposter syndrome, you know? But I love that you're giving them advice to really like do that, you know? Like, I know that it's hard, and I know that like putting yourself out there, it's kind of embarrassing. It can be, you know, rejection is real, but I think like there are so many opportunities. And that also goes back to what you were saying earlier about how, you know, there weren't any when you came out, and then there were tons, you know? And it's really just looking for those things, like you said, channeling your passion, something that you really love. Because I mean, if it's truly something that you really love, why not? Why not share it?
Mm-hmm.
Why not talk about it? Why not put it out there? You know, I don't know. I don't know. You were saying that you were an introvert, and I can't tell, honestly.
Whatever
No,
the
no, I get what for me, I come off very extroverted, but I'm kind of actually introverted. So you know, but people wouldn't know, right? So because, you know, you have to practice it. You have to practice putting yourself out there and really stepping into the spaces that, you know, you deserve to be in, guys.
yeah.
You know, I appreciate that question a lot, Lita. Thank you. And again, if anyone has anything else they want to share, drop it in because we only got a couple, like 10 more minutes. I have a couple of questions still, Anela, okay? I'm glad that you walked us through, you know, those tips about starting a business, about doing your portfolio, about the tips that you just shared. I wonder if there's something that you wish people had told you, or like something that you wish you knew before you graduated and entered kind of this like real world, as you said, big girl job.
That it's fast.
Ooh,
It moves so fast. I mean, there's nothing that can really prepare you with really how fast things change, how fast things move. I mean, it's definitely like something that you don't know it until you're in it. And I think like it was hard for me at first because like COVID, I felt like everything moved really slow. Like it was just like no speed at all. And then like coming out of COVID, then everything became fast. But it's like it was a different kind of fast because everyone was like trying to catch up too. So I feel like that that part is definitely like you just kind of have to roll with the punches. You just got to go with it. And no one told me that, but it's just what you got to do.
yeah. And I think that goes back to what you said about like choosing the jobs, right? Like, I mean, you had to make a decision, you know, and you really went with your gut on that one. So I'm glad. Someone asked about project management. Can you talk about that a little bit?
I
Maybe in your own role or how you do it?
I personally I have always kind of been an organized person. I've always like been a planner. I've always kind of had in my own way always had my ducks in a row. To other people it may not have looked that way, but again, everyone, especially in the creative field, we all have a method to our madness, right? So for me, I think like I just needed that. Like I needed that because otherwise I would not get anything done. I would feel like pretty lost. So with something like project management, I think just to find your way to be organized, I can't say that, you know, you don't have to be organized. I think you need some type of element of organization. And I think with that, it's like your way doesn't have to be like someone else's way. You don't need all the planners. You don't need maybe paper or whatever it is. But I think finding that order to your madness, that method, and like what clicks with you, that I think will help you manage it better. And then in addition to that too, which I really want to kind of emphasize is prioritizing. It's really hard to prioritize when you have all these things right in front of you. So I think like taking the time to really like look at all the things that you have, like all these projects, if you're trying to manage and, you don't think you can get through all of them, kind of really sit with each of them so you can prioritize, and then you don't feel like you're behind or you don't feel kind of overwhelmed. I learned how to prioritize a lot later, and it's still kind of hard for me, but once I do it, it does help me a lot.
Yeah. I mean, these are good skills for our students to have even right now, right? Even when you're making those huge Illustrator, Premiere Pro, Photoshop, you know, files, you really got to be organized with those files. In the same way when you're managing campaigns, I live by a Google
Yeah.
Doc. I got a progress tracker. I need to know what day it's due and how long it took me to work on the
Yeah.
last one. Like really breaking it into like steps like that. And of course, like you learn on the job, right? But it's good practice to do it in school now because it's kind of like this is all your pre-career thing. So that was a great tip. Thank you, Anela. And your cousin said hi in the comments. Okay, my second to last question. Oh, I'm not sure if this was answered, but do you have any tips about networking, especially in the industry you're in? We did talk a little bit about networking already, but do you want to go a little bit more into it, Anela?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with networking is just to take any opportunity of networking that comes your way. If you see something online or someone invites you to something, just go and just like really like put yourself out there, like, and don't have any expectations. Don't like go somewhere and think I'm gonna have a list of networks after this. Just go, be yourself, and then it'll kind of happen from there. But I would say anything that comes that falls in your lap, just do it, just take it, and then you'll kind of have a feeling of like what you're looking for after.
Yeah. And I will, just to add on to that, it takes practice, right? Networking. Like it's not like you mentioned, not the dreams are not going to come true the first time. Lucky if it is, you know what I mean? And you shouldn't put so much pressure on that. You know what I mean? Like even today, I still have to like prep myself before I go into events where I don't know anybody or when I have to talk to people that I don't know, because it's like you train yourself to get better at it every time, and I think there's a lot of, intention and like you can be really genuine when you go into networking. It doesn't have to be so extractive either. If you go into a situation hoping for a job, like that's a really high expectation. Maybe bring it down to like just meeting somebody or getting the card of someone or something like that, really breaking it into steps. So thanks for that question, Mark. Charlotte said that's what school is, a big job interview.
It is. That is actually really true, and that's why people like take it seriously, guys. When you're in school and in classes and doing group projects, like take it seriously because it's no different outside of college.
Right. I know. I'm glad that you said that too, because we're tying in all of those things, right? Everything that you're learning in school, hard and soft skills, right? I mean, they'll definitely help when you become like a working professional and you have to work with other people. I wonder for you, what's next? Where is Anela going to be in 5 to 10 years?
Oh gosh.
You don't have, I mean, what about
I
tomorrow? No kidding.
don't even know what I did this morning. I don't know. I think what's next? I hope to do more with my small business, like how I kind of mentioned earlier, that has been on pause for a little bit. But now that I kind of really grounded myself in work and the job that I have now, I feel like I kind of went through the entry experiences of that, and I feel good about what I do, that I can probably do more of my business stuff again. So, which I've always wanted to do, but I always like knew I needed to be in a certain space to kind of find my way back to there. So I feel like I have found my way back to there, in a sense of like I can pick it up and just kind of go, which is how I feel today. And then in the next 5 years, I'm hoping like to still be doing it. Like I hope that with anything that happens down the road, I still want to have my business no matter what, and like still push out things that I create and share with other people, even if it's just like one person who buys from my business. Like I'll still just want to always have it with me like all the time.
I think that's going to happen for you, Anela, because I can just tell that you're so passionate, you're so energetic. I don't imagine, any of those good things falling away for you, for sure. I only have two more questions, and I'm going to do my last final, I swear to God, last plug to drop questions, because I mean, you're sharing so much and I appreciate the time that you've shared so far. So, I really want whoever's watching to really get, what they wanted out of this talk. So I always like to ask everyone, because I'm nosy, but or yeah, not that I'm nosy, but I always want to know how other creatives think. So what is really inspiring you right now? Like an account, like a person, like anything that you've been really leaning on for that, when you're going through creative block?
Yeah, that's a great question actually. And I hope a lot of people explore this question because this might actually help you like kind of find your niche. But for me, I like what's been inspiring me right now is so I love to cook, I love to bake. That never changed since wanting to go into culinary. I still like it because a lot of people in my family are they cook and they bake, so I just inherited that and I do that as well. But um, I love watching like cooking videos. I love reading cooking books and actually like a lot of what I do from like baking and cooking because it's also very therapeutic for me as well. Um, from that actually inspires me like creatively as well, like you said, like they're both like creative in different ways, but sometimes like I'll make, I mean this will sound like kind of weird to some people, but like I'll create like a dessert, like a cake or something, and then I want to draw it after, like that's just something I want to do, and I'm like, okay, like, where can I put this, and like I'll animate it or I'll illustrate it or whatever it is. But I know like because I love like cooking and baking so much, normally that's kind of the streamline of like how it inspires me to kind of like, get to like drawing or whatever I may be doing. But most of the time it's drawing and just like picking up my iPad. But yeah, I would say that's kind of what's been inspiring me lately is a lot of cooking videos, a lot of baking videos. Like I can watch those for hours, honestly.
I love that. And it goes back to what you said exactly, like that creativity, inspiring other things. And even just like, the labor of doing something, I need to see those cake
I,
drawings that you be doing. I hope they're, oh, before we close out, I want to ask you if you do have, is there an Anela Designs account? Because we want to drop it here.
oh
Okay,
yeah, there's
perfect.
here. Wait, maybe I can put
Oh
it.
yeah, you
So
can say it or just say it, or like write it or say it. It's up to
okay.
you.
It's at Anela Designs underscore because Anela Designs is the name. So
What the
Anela
heck?
Designs, which is a big headache on
Mm,
like when you make business cards and you have to put an underscore everywhere.
right.
But at Anela Designs underscore, and then I have a website that's aneladesigns.com. So those are all active. Those are all my things go, and where I've been putting all like my creative stuff. I'm trying to put more, but yeah, those are kind of where I'm at these
No,
days.
yeah. And we're excited. Like you said, you're kind of focused on your job and then it ebbs and flows, right? That's how most careers go. So, I mean, I'm just glad you dropped it there for us so that we can all show you some love, get some stationery, get some stickers. Anela, I'm so grateful that you came on to chat with us. I mean, I feel like you dropped so much like important insight and just like from your own experiences too, super relatable. So I'm really glad that you came on and you could share. Thank you everyone who came on to watch and hang out with us. Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh,
Mark coming in with the last question. It's okay. Would you consider grad school or some more schooling at some point in your life?
uh, no,
Real quick, not kidding.
um, we're not creative if we don't get something in at the last second.
True.
For me personally, I am not I don't have any plans for grad school or any kind of schooling in the future. I think for me it's just trial and error. I have a business and that's kind of where I'm gonna trial and error things. I my double major solidified that I was done with school.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't for any more degrees.
Well, I think your business is where you learn, right? Where you're picking up those things and where you're staying up to date. You stay up to date with all the trends and skills and apps. I mean,
Yeah. But
all of those things look so different.
encourage it. I encourage those who want to
Right.
do it. That wasn't in my stars, so I did not do it.
Do it if you want to do it. I think about grad school. I think about grad school every time I like go to a classroom or I see like a student who's like really just in love with like what they're doing. I'm like, dang, I used to love learning also. So sometimes I think about it,
I never think about grad school. I'm done.
You're not. It's okay, And you don't, grad school, depending on what you want to do, you don't even have to go to more school, It's like good enough. People care more about experience too, that
Yeah.
work experience.
Yeah.
Just plugging that in for you, Mark.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will have another one for February, so stay tuned. Make sure you're following the ACM account that you're watching this on so that you can get the update, or check your newsletter because it'll also say it there. And I also want to remind the students, you have an Artbound info session on January 30th. Sorry. That's just a little plug to remind you of all those things. You know, if you need more information, you want to know, just check the Instagram account. Thank you so much again, Anela. I'll talk to you next time, okay?
Thank you.
Bye.
Cool. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.